Hi kids, welcome back to Kate Productions. Today we're going to be reading A Mystery in Venice by Geronimo Stilton. If you haven't watched the last video, please do, and then we'll continue on this chapter, A Mysterious Call for Help. We climbed back into Thea's sports car and headed for home. As we drove, the crystal gondola kept lighting up and playing its annoying song. The music was so loud, mice on the streets shot me disgusted looks as we passed by. How humiliating. When we arrived at my mouse hole, I said goodbye and ran inside. I couldn't wait to get out of my ridiculous outfit and put on my regular clothes. After I got changed, I looked around for somewhere to put the gondola. Since it was a gift from Petunia, I couldn't hide it in the back of a drawer somewhere, or under the bed, or in a closet. I needed to leave it in plain sight. I started wandering around for the house, looking for the perfect spot. On the mantel? No, it wouldn't fit. On the coffee table? No, it clashed with the carpet. On the nightstand? No, if that annoying song went off, I'd never get to sleep. Right at that moment, the doorbell rang. I ran to open it, but the door burst open, and I was knocked over by my cousin Trap. The crystal gondola fell to the floor, breaking into 1,000 pieces. Crash. Hello? Crash. I tried to put the pieces back together as tears fell from my eyes. Even though the gondola was hideous, it was a gift from Petunia. I was devastated. Trap, how could you? I wailed. That was a present from Petunia. What's the big deal? Trap chuckled. Oh no. What's the big deal? It's not like she's your girlfriend or anything. I glared at him. My cousin knows that I have a crush on Petunia, and I am too shy to tell her. Of course that doesn't stop him from teasing me about it. She bought me that crystal gondola at the flea market today, I squealed. Now that you broke it, she'll think I didn't like it. I'll never be able to tell her that I like her, and it's all your fault. He giggled. You should thank me, cousin, he replied. From the little that is left, I can really tell that thing was hideous. I ignored him and started picking up tiny pieces of crystal in hopes of fixing the gondola. It was then that I realized that a piece of rolled up paper had been stuck inside the gondola. I unrolled it and read these words. Help! Save me! I can't! I gulped. It was a dramatic call for help. I had to do something immediately. Look at this, I squeaked, shoving the paper under my cousin's nose. Someone is in danger and needs help. Maybe it's a damsel in distress. Trap just rolled his eyes. You will never change, Dermeister. How many times do I have to tell you to get your head out of those adventure books? You imagine you see damsels that need saving everywhere. Just wait. I'm going to tell your almost girlfriend. Geronimo thinks he's a knight in shining armor. Then he left in a hurry to go and blab it all to Petunia. My hero. Destination Venice. I tried to grab Trap's tail as he ran off, but he managed to slip away. Rats. Who knows what he could say to Petunia? Maybe he'd say I was smashing her crystal gondola to bits. Or maybe he'd say I was running around pretending to be a knight in shining armor. Either way, I'd never have a chance with her now. Still, there was no time to worry about it. Someone out there needed my help, and I was just the mouse for the job. After all, I may not be the bravest mouse in the block, but I am a true gentle mouse. If someone needed assistance, I had to take action. With a sigh, I picked up the mysterious paper and began to examine it very carefully. Who knows how long it had been inside the gondola? The writing was very neat, and the dots and the exclamation points were in the shape of hearts, which made me think the author was female. Plus, the paper was scented. Right at that moment, I noticed a small tag attached to what remained of the crystal gondola. It was a certificate of authenticity. It said, "Authentic Murano Crystal." So the gondola had been made in Italy on the island of Murano in Venice. Before you could say squeak, I had packed my bags, I went to the airport and boarded a flight to Venice. I didn't say anything to anyone. What would I have said? That I was leaving to solve a mystery in Venice? That I was going to save a damsel who maybe needed help? I knew it seemed absurd. Everyone would laugh at me. As soon as I boarded the plane, I fell asleep. I woke up only when the plane was landing at the airport in Venice. That's when a voice next to me squeaked, "Wake up, my precious fuzzy fur. We've arrived." I opened my eyes and realized that I had fallen asleep with my head resting on the shoulder of a strange lady mouse. I jumped up. Purple from embarrassment. "I'm so sorry," I stammered. She smiled at me, batting her big, extremely made-up eyes. Her long, fake eyelashes nearly slapped me in the snout. "Don't worry your handsome little self. How about we do some sightseeing together in Venice, my precious darling?" She crooned. My fur turned red. I mumbled something about having a lot of things to do, but she didn't take the hint. "You have things to do?" she squeaked. "So you mean you're not here on vacation? You actually live in Venice? How romantic. I knew that I would find the mouse of my dreams on my trip to Venice." I gulped. This mouse was starting to scare me. I backed slowly away from her, then turned on my tail and took off at breakneck speed. "I'm not from Venice," I yelled over my shoulder. "You misunderstood me." She followed me, but I lost her in the crowd. When I arrived at the water taxi stand, however, I saw her pink-spotted hat in the crowd. How had she followed me? I made a quick about face, but she had seen me. "Why are you running?" she yelled. "Why are you abandoning me, my sweet little Venetian mouse? Why are you running? Help!" What could I do? I started running again. "I'm not from Venice," I shouted back at her. All the rodents in the taxi line looked at me with disgust. They started talking about me. What a heartless rodent. Who leaves his girlfriend like that? He is no gentle mouse. I would have loved to defend myself. I pride myself on my reputation as a true gentle mouse. But there was no time. I had a mission to accomplish. I had to solve the mystery in Venice. I didn't have time to deal with a clingy lady mouse in a polka dot hat. I ran down the dock with my paws in the air. The rodent of my nightmares. I scanned the water for an available motorboat taxi and jumped on the first one I came to. The driver, a guy with huge muscles and a black mustache, asked, "Where would you like to go, sir?" "Wherever you want, just as long as it's far away from here," I squeaked, hoping the clingy lady mouse was still way behind me. The driver took off and headed towards the city. Only when we were safely splashing through the open water did I turn to admire the Grand Canal. The Grand Canal. A little over 2 miles long, the Grand Canal is the main waterway in Venice. It divides the historic center into two parts. Along this canal, you can find magnificent buildings that were constructed between the 12th and 18th centuries. It is also the place where the Venetians celebrate the historic regatta. What a fab mouse sight! Just then, a steamboat filled with tourists taking pictures pulled up next to us. Among them, I recognized a familiar pink polka dot hat. It was her, the rodent of my nightmares. I groaned. I had to do something. Then I got an idea. I asked the driver if he would sell me his hat so I could disguise myself. The driver's eyes lit up. I guess he could tell I was desperate. "How much are you willing to pay?" he asked. I gave him everything I had in my wallet, but he wanted my gold watch too. Finally, I put on the hat. It didn't work. My admirer recognized me anyway. She shouted at me from the steamboat, "Oh, Fuzzy Fur, why are you running away from me? I'm your true love. Come back." Venice. Venice is a unique city because it is built entirely on water. It extends along 120 separate islands divided by canals, but connected by more than 400 bridges. Venice is one of the most fascinating cities in the world for art lovers. Bell towers, churches rich with works of art, antique buildings with finely decorated facades, and houses with mysterious courtyards all face onto the lagoon. On the inside, the city is a labyrinth of streets, small squares, and small covered passages that make it even more mysterious. In Venice, you can't get around by bus or by car. Instead, people travel by steamboats, motorboats, or gondolas, which are typical Venetian rowboats. "Help! I'm drowning!" Suddenly, the taxi driver grabbed me by the tail and tossed me into the Grand Canal. "That'll teach you to mistreat your true love," he squeaked. "But wait, I can explain," I wailed. "It's all a misunderstanding." "Darling, help!" I could hear the mouse in the polka dot hat shouting from the steamship, "Save him! I don't want him to drown! I want to marry him!" Someone threw a buoy made of cork into the water and it hit me right in the head. What a blow! So much for a rescue. I think they did it on purpose. In fact, someone from the steamboat yelled, "What kind of rotten rat treats a lady mouse like that? He should be left out to sea." At that point, I didn't have a choice. I began to sink. I swam underwater, holding my breath until I reached a secondary canal that smelled of rotten fish. Yuck, what a terrible stench. But what could I do? I hid under a bridge. The Bridge of Sighs. The bridge was built in the beginning of the 17th century and was a project of the architect Antonio Contino di Bernardino. It connects the Duomo Palace to the Prigoni Nuovo, the new prisons. The word sighs refers to the last sighs the prisoners would give as they crossed the bridge before reaching the prisons. Do you hear that? Sigh, sigh. Until evening to be sure that my clingy admirer was long gone. While I was hiding, I began to hiccup. I hoped that no one could hear me. Oh, how had I gotten myself into this mess? I sobbed loudly, full of pity for myself. Sigh, sigh, sigh. Suddenly, a voice up on the bridge squeaked, "Did you hear that? Someone is sighing." "Of course, we're standing on the Bridge of Sighs," another voice said. "Maybe it's a ghost," a third voice shrieked. Then I heard paws scampering overhead. Quietly, I slipped out of the water. I stood on the deck and sighed for the millionth time that night. What a fiasco! I had been so busy running away from my lady admirer, I hadn't even begun to solve the mystery in Venice. I took a deep breath and resolved to get moving. I would start looking for clues right away, even though I was soaking wet, freezing, and above all, stinking of rotten fish. I tried not to think about the stench as a cloud of flies followed me down the narrow streets of Venice. By this time, it was pretty late in the evening and the whole city seemed deserted. That was actually a good thing. Since I left, I felt like I was playing the starring role in the horror movie Mouse Monster of the Lagoon. I slunk along, whispers drooping, leaving puddles behind me. The few tourists I encountered made sure to keep far away from me. covering their snouts with their paws. Oh, how humiliating. I was still feeling sorry for myself when I entered Piazza San Marco. In an instant, I forgot all about my troubles as I stared at the gorgeous antique buildings, the marvelous cathedral with 4 domes, the bronze horses, and the tall bell tower. What an amazing place! Right then, a flock of rouge pigeons sailed overhead, dropping small gifts on my head, my back, and my tail. Oh, how humiliating! Shoo! Shoo! That's it for this video, but be sure to stay tuned for the next where we finish this book. Be sure to subscribe, like, and comment to Kate Productions. Thank you.